Welcome to this video series on the HJ-Y3 tricopter. In this video we're just going to go over what parts you should have in your tricopter kit. In the next video we will go over the additional parts that you'll need to add to the kit in order to make a flying tricopter. Okay, so first of all, you should have two of these side pieces here. These are the sides of the tricopter. You should have two of those. Then you should have an upper plate and a lower plate. And note that those are shaped very similarly, but the upper plate is just a bit shorter. Then you should have the arms. These are the side pieces for the arms. There's two sides for each arm. There's two arms, hence a total of 4 side pieces. These are end caps for the inner parts of the arms. Once again, 2 arms, 2 caps per arm, so you should have a total of 4 of these cap pieces. These are the opposite end caps where the motors go, motor mount pieces. Once again, you should have 4 of those. Okay, moving on, this is the actual tail mechanism right here. It's 2 pieces. Then there's a pin that joins these 2 pieces together and a small screw that contains the pin and keeps it from falling out. This metal plate here is for the motor, and the motor gets mounted on here, and then it in turn gets mounted onto this tail piece. Then we have a small servo. This is the MG90S. All of the kits that I have purchased so far have come with this particular servo. This is an analog servo, and it does a reasonable job, especially for the money. Okay, then we have a servo mounting plate here, and these are shims for the servo, so you should have 2 of these shim pieces here. And this is also a mounting plate for the tail mechanism. Then we have a power distribution board and a landing skid. And that's pretty much it for the main parts. And now we're going to take a look at the screws you should have. Okay, you should have 2 2.5 by 6 millimeter screws. You should have 2 2 millimeter by 8 millimeter screws and their adjoining nuts. So I have nuts on the end of those 2 screws. Then you should have 2 2.5 millimeter by 10 millimeter screws and their adjoining nuts. Then you should have 4 3 millimeter by 10 millimeter screws, once again with their adjoining nuts. Okay, then you should have 20 of these 3 millimeter by 5 millimeter screws, and you should have 44 of these 3 millimeter by 6 millimeter screws. Now moving on to the columns here, you should have 16 of these nylon standoffs. These are 3 millimeter by 15 millimeter. Then you should have 8 of these smaller nylon standoffs. These are 3 millimeter by 8 millimeters. Okay, and then you should have 4 of these metal standoffs. These are 3 millimeter by 23 millimeter. 3 by 23, and you should have 4 of those. Then you should have 2 of these 3 millimeter by 20 millimeter. Should have 2 of those. Then the rest of this hardware, okay, we've got 8 of these nylon standoffs. They have a male thread on one end, female on the other end, 8 nylon screws, and 8 nylon washers. These components here are used for the mounting of your power distribution board and flight controller, etc. So that's an overview of the kit. Now, I got this kit from multirotormania.com, and I've purchased about a half a dozen of these kits from various places out on the internet. I like Multirotormania because they're located in the US, as am I, so shipping is quick. And I also like the fact that they let you choose the color of your nylon pieces. No other place that I've ordered from has offered that option, and so I really like that option. We're going to be using red on this one, but they have green and blue and some other colors as well, so it's just a nice option. And so that wraps up this video. In the next one, like I say, we're going to take a look at the additional parts you'll need to build this kit. And then from there, we will get this thing put together.